Welcome to your Inspirational Astrology Horoscope for the weekend of February 7th, 8th, and 9th, 2014. I am astrologer David Palmer, the Leo King, here to illuminate the collective consciousness. Well, if you're in Los Angeles this weekend, join me at the Conscious Life Expo. I'm doing the big astrology panel there on Sunday afternoon. Don't miss it if you're around. And I'm still doing my Spiritual House Sessions awesome live video show, going deep into the astrology, tarot, house music, pulling cards. It's going to be so much fun. Live chat, but I'm doing it at a new time just for this weekend. I'm doing it at 11 a.m. Pacific. So if you're around and you want to hang out, you don't got much going on your Sunday, and if you're not in Los Angeles to come to the Conscious Life Expo, I'm still throwing a party, and I'd love to see you there. And speaking of this weekend, there's nothing major happening, but doesn't mean nothing's not going on. What this is starting to understand the Mercury Retrograde energy. Mercury just went retrograde coming into this weekend, and we're going to feel it as the moon is going to leave earthy and grounded Taurus and move into intellectual Mercury-ruled Gemini. And that means, I'm going to be honest, this could be a confusing weekend. It could be exciting. We could get lost. It could be very magical. And especially as you have Aquarius, there's electricity. This is dealing with people. This can really open up some really powerful, weird places for us to be in this weekend. But maybe making sense of it all, we're going to have to go that extra mile. Mercury retrograding in Pisces is all about listening to the signs, turning off the intellectual energy, trying to understand the unconscious as well. This is us dipping into see unconscious states of mind in our own spiritual world, and at the same time become aware of very high vibrational conscious energy. And that's the duality of Pisces. But when it meets the duality of Gemini, which has to deal with the thought patterns and the communication in the mind, and especially because there's this big square coming into the weekend, I think we're all starting to see that this is kind of a weird spot to be in. You know, there's been lots of changes. Venus coming off Pluto is starting to move us in the future now with all these great relationship energies and things we're manifesting now. You're starting to see the universe kind of click back into gear here. But we could get real lost into some really just deep kind of dreams. It's almost like we're in a dream right now. It kind of is that feeling this weekend. It's very dreamlike. It could be very kind of confusing. It could be like a bowl of soup where you're just like, what's in here? Because there's so many different things. And that's okay, because I think that the signs will present themselves that eventually as you're going through the soup of your life this weekend, you go, oh, that's a clam. And then you'll be like, oh, that's some beans or something. You know, I think that it's going to take, though, swishing around the soup, trying it, exploring the areas, being curious. You know, this is a really good weekend for curiosity and to get lost in your curiosity. But at the same time, it could also be, you know, maybe unconscious thought patterns coming out or communicating with maybe even our intuitions being off. I'll be honest, usually when you see Gemini mixed with Pisces and you see a clash like this could be like our intuitions being off because maybe our mind is trying to make up the signs logically opposed to spirit trying to deliver the signs. This is going to test if you're really conscious or unconscious with how your mind works. That's the way I look at this weekend. So that's a lot to pay attention to. The really good news is on Sunday, there's going to be a huge grand trine. The moon in Gemini is going to trine over to Mars. I think that Sunday is a really powerful, amped up day. I think Saturday is a really good day too, as the astrology is pretty good. I think it's Friday that's kind of this really unique kind of weird day. It could be one of those days where you're just like, wow, how did this day happen? I don't have days like this. It's just, you know, it's just a day you just don't see ever in astrology. And we could be confused of what's, you know, how to take this weekend, how to even feel about it. But I think the whole important part is, if we don't know the soup going in, we're going to know the soup coming out. And I think it's good for you to be curious of the soup, to try it, to explore the different areas. That's Aquarius, you know. It's about innovating your life. I think that there's a lot of epiphanies that come out of this weekend because I think we're prepping on a deeper level for the next week coming up as the sun is going to start to square Saturn. So that means if we're looking at this weekend, this weekend is the build-up towards some bigger decisions coming in our life. I think that there is a decision to make here as we step into next week. And I think this weekend is the exploring our feelings, exploring our thought patterns, also communicating to others. I think this is a great weekend to finally maybe get some things out that you want to say, to express yourself, but make sure that you're not expressing yourself maybe off being misguided, off what your intuition says, because maybe it's completely off and maybe you're just playing mind games with yourself. This is one of those weekends where you'll see people who are like, no, I know you're cheating on me. When it's like, dude, like, we're not even like doing anything like that. And then, you know, it's like, I'm sorry, I was totally off. You know, it's like, you'll see that kind of energy in people this weekend, where they could just be so off. And I would take everything that people say, not literally this weekend. I would really listen to your gut and not listen to your mind. If things sound too good to be true, they could be. This is one of those weekends where it might not all make sense. It just might all not make sense. But if there's some spiritual vibe to it, and it feels like your angels would tip off on it, then it is. But, you know, this is just a weird weekend. Because there's a lot that we're in between of as we're getting ready for, and if you watch the webinar, you can download the webinar if you want to this weekend and watch it. There's so much that's about to shift here. And we're in between the full moon. You know, we're just in a really interesting place of expeditions of our soul, and learning to balance out mind and spirit and have them work together. And to have them channel correctly too and express themselves correctly. And I think that's what we're at. That we're at a time that we reach on Sunday and we understand what the soup is, we understand some feelings, and I think we're amped up on them. And I think that we're getting ready to make some decisions with those feelings as we step into Monday and into Tuesday when the sun does square Saturn. But then remember, I believe that we have all been getting callings of certain truths in our life recently. And I think that really is starting to hit by next week when the sun squares Saturn. So if there's some work that you know you have to do inside, and there's some spiritual energy that you need to get in tune with, this is a weekend to do it. It might be hard. This can be a weekend that can be hard to meditate as you kind of are lost, you're over here. But meditation is about losing yourself of this reality. And you know what? You could be walking as a meditation this weekend by just hanging out and doing what you do normally. That I feel like the universe is kind of shutting off a lot to kind of process, you know, more of the smaller things, the simpler things, and kind of put these bigger things on hold for a little bit. So there's definitely a weekend to be put on hold and to kind of emotionally figure things out and see what soup you've been poured by the universe. And it'll be a really good week that we got coming up. Check out my website, inclusiveastrology.com, if you have any questions or if you want to have a one-on-one reading. Thank you so much for all of your support, and I will see you hopefully on Sunday, if you're in LA or on my show, or I'll see you Monday on the horoscope. Peace.